everybody, and welcome back to the Late Night Yap. I know it's been a while since we've been on. I needed to take a little bit of time off to, rest and just get ready for the holidays, which, I have a toddler, so we're getting everything ready for Christmas for him so that way he can have the best holiday. And I also hope that all of you are not stressed out getting prepared for the holidays either. I know this time of year can be so stressful, but these interesting stories might just help lighten the mood a little bit or take your mind off things for a while. And we're actually going to be doing things a little bit different with our stories this week on YouTube. Basically, instead of doing a themed YouTube video, I'm going to be doing just random stories that I want to read that are just really interesting, and each episode is going to have basically kind of like the same themed thumbnail, but it's going to have a different episode name, so that way you guys know which episode is which, obviously. And then we're also going to start back up our Yap sessions. On Thursday, we're going to have a Yap session about the DoorDash scandal that's been going on. You guys have probably heard about it on TikTok, or if you haven't heard about it, basically what happened is a girl who was door dashing dropped off an order, and she basically filmed her customer butt naked on his couch, and she's getting sued now. So that's interesting, right, to talk about. A lot of debate at the beginning on whether she was right or wrong. So we're going to get deep into that and what the story was, what she did, why she's being sued, all of that good stuff. So, but for now, we're going to go ahead and get into our episode. Coworker cut my hair after saying my hair would look great shorter. I work remote and thus I can do whatever I like with my clothes and hair. I love it even though I'm a bit new to it. We have an office in my city that has events that some non-remote workers work. My coworker, Terry, works remote and we meet every Thursday morning to interface for projects that cross over our departments. Since I've met him, he always comments on my hair and clothes and it's whatever. But he does often say that my big curly hair would look a lot better short and showed me a photo of his wife who has hair like mine but wears it really short. I just don't like my hair short, sue me. So I just go, not for me, I'm afraid. We have a holiday party that is next week, so I volunteered to help set it up, not because I'm some great person. Mind you, I get paid extra and get extra vacation days in the Caribbean is calling me. He had some scissors and showed us with aluminum foil how cutting it can make scissors sharper. He kept saying it cuts so smooth and kept cutting crap and then grabbed some of my hair and cut it. It was me, him, and his teammate, and it quickly escalated. HR, of course, was notified. He says he didn't mean to, but just got wrapped up in it and let his intrusive thoughts win. He says he's on the spectrum and he's incredibly sorry. A coworker told me that he is saying I must hate him and he's been depressed since. HR is pulling me in a meeting tomorrow, and per our policy, they explicitly say what the meeting is about, what are my thoughts about it, and how I would like to move forward. I know I don't want to see this guy if I can help it, and I do want the cost covered for my stylist appointment. I don't really want police involved. My hair goes past my butt and he cut it right at my hip, so it was a good chunk. I'm angry and usually I want to believe the best in people, but I don't want to here. I mean, it's effing nuts. And everyone is saying how insane it is and that he's a bit of a goofball, but overall just excitable and sweet. I guess my question is, how do I handle this? What do I ask for reasonably, and what is my rage and anger speaking? I'm so upset, but I can't talk to anyone else about it because my family and friends would just want me to go scorched earth. So here's the thing. I can understand the spectrum part, but to be honest with you guys, I don't really know how I feel about this other than just I would be really, really upset if somebody cut my hair. I would probably throw in hands. You know what I'm saying? We don't condone violence, but I mean something like that, that's assault. To be honest with you. Now, I don't know if a lot of people know that's assault, but it is. And the issue when it comes to those that are on the spectrum, when they get older, there's a lot of things that adults cannot get away with the same way that you could get away with as a child. So yeah, as a kid, if he had an impulse and cut somebody's hair in school, it may not have been such a big deal. I mean, it would obviously be a big deal, but he wouldn't get put in jail. You know what I'm saying? He wouldn't have to go through the process of a court and everything like that. So I think like at the end of the day, a lot of it when it comes to special needs, because I have a special needs toddler, and a lot of it honestly is mostly on the parents, because yes, our children are on the spectrum, but they're not dumb. They're very, very smart children, and you need to teach them just like you would teach anybody else. It might take them a little bit longer. They learn differently. All of those things, obviously, yes, comes in with the disability, but at the same time, it's still the parents' job to make sure that when they're sending their autistic children especially out into the world, that they are definitely prepared for it. Because when something like this happens, you can't just blame autism. You know what I'm saying? Or, oh, I'm on the spectrum, so I can't help it. Because when you're in a situation, right? Let's just say, like, an autistic person is doing something and somebody comes up to them and then they get overstimulated and they turn around and punch the person in the face. That's assault, right? So they would end up going to jail, and a police officer isn't going to be like, oh, well, you have autism, so it's all right, bud, we'll just send you home. Like, that's not how it works. And a lot of these autistic people that grow up to be autistic adults, because autism is for life, they end up in prison or they end up in jail because they end up doing things that they obviously weren't meaning to do, because yes, they have a disability, but the world doesn't see that. Police don't see that. And it's very important that you teach your kids. But anyways, so pretty much on this story, there is an update, but there is a consensus here of all the comments, because I'm reading this from Best of Redditor update, so they don't actually have any of the original comments here, but the consensus is that people in the comments think that it's obviously battery, like it's an assault, and it's above HR's pay grade, but it also might have been racially motivated. So we're going to read the update and figure out why they think it was racially motivated. But OP did give a little bit of background actually on her like nationality. So she said that she's black, both parents' side are part indigenous, and on her mother's side. She didn't want to mention that in the post because I didn't want to run to the assumption that racist was mostly because of it. This was a whole other beast, and I hate confrontation. I work a lot at it, but I'm part Native American, so my hair is so specific. I've always had long hair, and I would donate it when I was younger, but now I just like it long because it's pretty unique, and amongst other black women I know, it's just a little thing that makes me feel unique or special. Yeah, and LP doesn't honestly have to explain that at all. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure her hair is probably beautiful. Honestly, like I'm just thinking about like how her hair would look as an indigenous black woman, and I can tell you, her hair is probably so beautiful. It's probably so shiny and so beautifully curly. Oh my gosh, and it's down to her butt. Oh, it's so long. I feel so bad for OP. But we're gonna go ahead and read the update. And this update is actually one day later. I'm at a pub near HQ enjoying a beer because I'm off for the rest of the day and I can. I went to the HR meeting and it went like this. I took a lot of advice from your comments and also broke down and explained it to my mom, best friends, and of course my partner. They were all livid, and I got good advice from them as well. So how about that Crown Act? Also, in my state, it's a huge deal both locally and federally, so further confirmation wasn't overreacting and being rattled and pissed. I preemptively sent a formal email to HR asking for the records as this is a police matter and requesting for their cooperation. That got attention as now, instead of just meeting with a rep from HR, the meeting changed by the time I logged in this morning to have new names added to the calendar invite. I sat down with Anne, who is my direct supervisor, Gary, the HR lead, and Leon, who is the supervisor and the offender. Leon is the supervisor and the offender? That's crazy. First was a long apology, very HR, this should have never happened, and we take these matters very seriously, etc. Then they talked about what they've already done. He is currently suspended, written up, and if he returns, he will need to do mandatory training. This has all been documented with witness statements that will be shared with me. I am given the option to work directly with Leon on matters that branch from my department into his. They reminded me that my job offers free therapy through an online program, but I'm already in regular therapy, so they've offered to cover this month via reimbursement. I am given paid leave through January 6th, effective as soon as I walk out from the meeting, so I will still get paid for my time at the party and the bonuses promised waiting for me, working on it, but I'm no longer required to assist in prep going forward. They gave me the floor asking what, if anything, more I wanted done. How was I? Then they gave me the floor asking what, if anything, more I wanted done and how I was. I started with thanking them for their attention on the matter. I mentioned that while I do believe the best in people, it bears noting that this can be viewed as assault and possibly racially driven. I explained that ethnic hair takes a lot to maintain, and as a black woman, I do a lot to ensure its health and length. I reiterated his repeated comments about my hair and how this might have felt targeted, and do not ever want to be around this man again. I will be filing a police report on the matter due to the seriousness of him not only touching me without permission, but also using a dangerous object to cut my hair. I then said that I sent images to my hairstylist and expected to be reimbursed for the services managing my altered hair. They asked how much that might be, and I said I wasn't sure, but I have an emergency appointment this Saturday. Anne spoke up and said that might not be possible, but gave it to Gary in the form of a question. Gary said he needs to see about it, but Leon spoke up and said that he as a black man would be shocked if they didn't cover this, and reinforced my point that black hair is inexpensive and time consuming. He spoke of the culture of the economy and how we're supposed to not only be against discrimination but claim to be anti-racist, and it wouldn't be right to make it this offensive. Lily is being so calm right now, and I'm impressed because that's the next level racism from where I sit. I did confirm that I am shaken and very, very angry, but also professional and want this meeting to be productive. Ultimately, Gary gave me a tentative yes, and I requested an email confirming all the points and promises made in the meeting. I received that in about an hour ago with confirmation that I only need to send an invoice or receipt to Gary. In the meeting, I was told that an email would be sent directly to HR addressed to me from the man who cut my hair. They said I don't have to read it, but they will send it to me if I want. I did for the sake of at least having confirmation and confession and possibly the email. And I think all things went okay under the circumstance. I did show them the damage to my hair, and Leon was visibly pissed. I honestly think the guy will eventually just be sacked for this, for literally no other reason, just based on boss's behavior towards it. Last night I cried about my hair. At the time I was feeling like I was being a crybaby, but it's just hair at the end of the day. But it occurs to me that it's also a big part of me and my identity, and gives me a tie to my indigenous roots. I did say that in the meeting too. It's just heartbreaking to me. Nothing is undone. My stylist said based on the photos I will need to at least trim the bottom. A commenter suggested a smile shape, so I suggested to my stylist, so we will see. My mom, who is easily the best mom in the world, sent me a text right before my meeting ended asking how it went, and I told her everything I told you guys. She said that she was proud of me for standing up for myself and being pushed to alert the police, so I will. She wants me to sue, but also so far is only lightly suggesting. This sounds stressful, and this was already so traumatic, and I think I will worry about that after the holidays. Personally, HR is super big on working with you. They obviously don't want you to call the police, and they obviously don't want you to sue because that would look bad on the company. Because and I get it. I mean, if you sue, I would get it. But if you really love this company and they are working with you, especially, I think it was Gary who was very explicit on, this is definitely not okay. And as a black man to, the two people he was sitting with, hey, this is our culture. This is not an okay thing. OP should be more upset than she is. But she's being very professional in the meeting. I think everything went pretty great, and I think they give you everything that you needed, so I don't think you need to sue. I mean, maybe you could sue the coworker, but I wouldn't sue your company because your company is actually working with you. Now, though, I have a lot of time to burn. I'm not used to having no work. I used to work multiple jobs, have side hustles, but after I got this job, it has great pay and benefits, and now I make enough to live comfortably without fear of being short on rent or skipping on the food budget to make ends meet. This is why I put my all into it. I've been commended multiple times already there that I say if I do myself, I'm a great employee. It was nice to have a little reflected back, and I have to admit, but I'm still angry. I also feel some sort of way about Anne in the meeting. She was nice to me and handed me a tissue when I teared up, but otherwise looked so uncomfortable to the point that it was pretty distracting. She looked like she was being tortured, and I was like, girl, no one is having fun here. Get it together. But I am in my feelings, and I know that, so now I guess I need to figure out how to fill my time for a while. Trip, decorating, new hobby, old hobby. Thoughts? I could use suggestions. Lastly, it occurs to me that a lot of folks in the comments have been following my insane life, so I wanted to thank everyone in the DMs with uplifting words, jokes, hair care suggestions, and the like. It really makes this shitty situation easier. From my heart to yours, I wish you all a lovely holiday, and I know that it can be hard for a lot of people, and I hope you all find a little joy regardless. Edit, I also want to quickly update now that the day is over. I spent most of my day doing things that bring me joy. I randomly went to the museum and had an espresso martini, etc. But after I finished moping at the bar, I went and reported with the police. It was stressful, but I wanted it out of the way, as my lawyer strongly suggested I do now in the event of the sue later. I did check my email and read the email, and that was funneled through HR. There is a very clear admission of what happened. He had a very odd reasoning and repeated intrusive thoughts, and did note that he is on the spectrum. He also mentioned lightly that remote work saved him because he is awkward and just wants to be friendly, but admits he took things too far. Yeah, one of the top comments here says, if I let my intrusive thoughts win, I'd be in prison. I mean, yeah, but that's what I was kind of saying earlier. Like, when somebody is on the spectrum, like, yes, it could have just been, like, something they didn't mean to do, but at the same time, like, those excuses don't really work out super well, in real life, because when you have people that are trying to live their daily life, that doesn't really, it's not really an excuse for them. You know what I'm saying? So, if you do have any children on the spectrum, please make sure that you are teaching them about the world and that you cannot do things like this because, yeah, maybe you let your intrusive thought win at school and you shoved the cupcake in a girl's hair, but if you do that in real life, that's assault. Like, you can't do that as an adult, okay? I mean, even as children, it's still assault. You know what I'm saying? But they just don't take it very seriously. Seriously, oh my fucking god, I can't even talk. Anyways, I do I do feel really terrible for OP, and I hope that eventually with time, obviously the hair will grow back. I know that it's such a terrible thing to happen, and if somebody cut my hair, I mean, I pay a lot of money for my hair to be this pink. I'm telling you right now. I would be very upset if somebody cut my hair. Like, my hair has always, like, when I was a kid, my hair was always down to my butt too. Like, obviously I have it a lot shorter now, but I did not want my hair cut. I wanted my hair long. I was very adamant on that. I did at one point in my life though. I cut it up to here, and we got a little bit crazy with it, but I've kept it. I mean, I've pretty much kept it like this length, but right now we're kind of growing it out. I mean, it's getting pretty long actually. Now that I think about it, my hair is getting pretty long. But yeah, like, people spend like we spend a lot of money on our hair. Like, obviously I'm not a black woman, so I don't spend tons of money, but I mean, wigs are expensive. Like, these things are just like expensive things. Like, I know a lot of women who go and get their hair braided, and it's like $2,000 appointments, like $1,000 appointments, depending on what braider you get. And you know what I'm saying? And you have to like go to the right braiders because some will rip you bald. Like, you just got to be real careful when it comes to hair care. And like I said, I don't know a whole lot about it because obviously I don't have ethnic hair, so I don't really know what it's like to have like 4C hair. But I know, like, my friends that do. I mean, it's really like, it's one of those things where people will come up to you and be like, "Oh, I like your hair," and then try to touch you. Like, don't do that. Just don't do that. Like, there is no need to do that. So, but we're gonna move on to the next story. I need some advice on what to do about my asshole neighbor that thinks it's okay to come to my house and yell at me. So first, I'll talk about what happened at 10:30 tonight. I need to preamble with some context. I have a small chihuahua that hates the cold. He spends 90% of his day under a blanket during the winter and the rest barking at strange noises, deliveries, or people that come to the door. So on to what happened. I was in my house working on a project. My dog heard something and went to the porch to bark. I came out to see what the deal was. I heard a noise, but as soon as I spoke to my dog to quiet him, it stopped. So I quieted my dog and went inside. I hear the noise clearly this time. Someone is making kissy noises, and I just think someone is walking their dog by my house. So I go outside to get my dog to stop barking, and I hear the kissy noises again, and then my neighbor on the side of our house walks up to my house and starts screaming at me. He screams at me, "Do you know my bedroom is right there?" Then points to the window directly across from my porch. "Your dog barking wakes me up all night." I reply calmly with no, sorry, I didn't know that was your bedroom, but I will get him to be quiet. I'm so sorry if he's been keeping you up. I want to add here this was fully dressed as baiting my dog to bark. Yeah, I mean, he's outside your house going like to make your dog like bark or like notice that there's like they know that they bark at people, so it's like he wanted the dog to obviously bark at him on purpose. This man was not happy with what I said. He continued to scream at me, call me names, and called me a whore, a hoe, and a lot of other names. He says this has been going on for 10 years. I haven't even lived here 10 years. I've lived here for maybe 4 years. And at this point, I'm getting pissed. I mean, what the hell does this guy want from me? So I tell him to go F himself and get off my property or I'm calling the police. He backs up off the property and says, what are you going to do? And continues to scream nonsense at me. I finally call my husband, who tells him to get off the property. He tries to bait my husband into a fight. My husband remains calm and says, you say this has been going on for so long, but you've never spoken to us about it. The neighbor screams, because I'm nice. His mother or some older woman at this point comes out and says that we shouldn't have to say anything because it's common sense. I say, no, if you were nice, you'd come calmly talk to us, and if it continues, then I would say you have every right to be upset. At this point, if you have a problem with us, call the community office or call the police because I don't want to hear from you. He continues to scream as the older woman drags him off. We went inside and he threw something at our house. I called the community office and told them what happened. This is not the first time he has done this. Another time he came and knocked on my door. When I opened it, he proceeded to scream and yell at me, saying my dogs are pooping in his yard. My dog uses puppy pads, and anytime we go for a walk, we go nowhere near his house, and I always clean up after my dogs. I have poop bags that attach to my leash. I had poop bags that attached to the leash. When I told him there was no way it was our dogs and that a lot of people here have dogs that go out to potty off leash, but we do not. But there is a lot of other small dogs it could be, and he continued to scream at me until I closed the door. If anyone has any advice on what I should do about this neighbor, I would greatly appreciate it. I'm afraid he's going to do something to hurt my dog the way he was baiting my dog to bark so that he could start an altercation. Should I call the police to make a report? I've never dealt with anything like this and I'm at a loss. Thanks for reading all of this if you did, and thanks for any advice in advance. So there is an update, and honestly, I don't really have much advice other than maybe call the police and make a report or just let them know, like, I don't know, just like tip them off, like, hey, I'm having issues with my neighbor, this is what's happening, and just maybe have them report it. So that way, if something physical happens, or if he breaks a window, like it's already been reported. But at this point, I mean, there's really nothing much you can do unless he comes onto your yard and won't leave, you know? And then you can definitely call the police during his screaming fit on your property. But unfortunately, when you have terrible neighbors, there's really not much you can do unless the police actually do something to get involved that I know of, honestly. And most of the time, they're really not that much help. I'm not gonna lie. But if you have like a community, like a HOA or like a office, like a community office for your neighborhood, you could definitely go to them and be like, hey, like this neighbor is like being really weird. I would honestly get cameras around your house, or like the next time they do, like record the altercation so that when you do go to the police or the office to file a report with them, that you could say, hey, like this is what's going on and I have video proof of what's happening, you know? But we're going to go ahead and get into the update. I've spoken to the front office. Those of you who said he's probably off his meds were right. Okay, so the comments, I guess, were saying that the dude is off his meds. We didn't read any of the comments. Normally I do. We'll read them after the update. They told me that he has harassed other neighbors, that he goes off his meds and picks fight with people, that he's possibly dangerous during these times, to call police if it happens again, and they will take steps to remove him from the community. She assured me that my dogs are not a problem, that she is aware they bark and deliveries and people on her property, but no more than other dogs in the community that she is aware of, and I've worked hard to train them to stop when they start barking. That is not just about me like it was about the other neighbors he's harassed. This is about his mental illness. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like, dogs bark. Dogs are gonna bark. Like, is excessive barking really annoying? Sure. But if you know your dog barks, I mean, at some point, like, obviously make them stop. Like, my dog, she's a Australian Shepherd and Pomeranian mix. So that Pomeranian her, and she just barks. And obviously, I've trained her to not do that unless, like, somebody's knocking at the door or she hears something like she's gonna bark. But if we're out like walking, I've kind of trained her like, don't bark at kids that are running, don't bark at cars that are driving by, like just obedience training, you know what I'm saying? But if we're in the house, she can bark in her own house, like I don't really care. But I mean, cause she's a she is a dog. I mean, dogs bark. You know, what you gonna do? like they honestly, most dogs are probably gonna bark and alert you of something or scare somebody off if they hear a dog barking. So I would rather her bark in the house than bark at people outside. Just saying. But anyways, I also made a police report and they said that he had a record, but nothing recent. To all those who gave advice, I will be following it. I'm getting cameras, documenting these interactions, and calling the police the moment he speaks to me. I will also call APS, as some people mentioned. Thank you so much for all your help and kind words. To all of those who clearly didn't fully read the post and thinks that my dogs are the problem, my dogs have never pooped in his yard. They use puppy pads. My dogs do not bark all the time. They rarely even go outside during the day when it's this cold, and they are usually not allowed out at night, especially not if I'm with them. They are inside dogs. Last night I was working on something, going in and out, and had the door cracked. This man lured my younger dog outside by coming to my property and making kissy noises at him. My dogs do bark when someone's on the property, but they stop as soon as I tell them to. I used to work as a dog trainer, and my dogs are well trained. Yeah, I mean that's kind of like basically what I was saying. Like if my dog was barking and I told her like, hey, like it's time to chill, she's gonna stop. So that's good. This is not a case of my dogs being nuisances. This is a case of a mentally ill man trying to start a fight because he's off his meds, which he's well known to have done many times before to other people. Even if my dogs are barking their heads off all the time, which they absolutely do not, you come and speak to someone civilly. You don't call them a whore and scream at them and threaten them. Which is true. You can't, I mean, honestly, I didn't even know that this man was like off his meds, and most of the comments that I was looking at, I didn't really say much about it, so I don't know if maybe that wasn't the original post. But at the same time, it's like, dogs are gonna bark, you guys. Like, is it annoying? Sure. If it's excessive, obviously, like, hey, shut your dog up. But at the same time, like, if you have somebody in your yard purposely luring, like if somebody came into our yard and was making kissy noises at my dog, she would 100% bark at them. She would bark her little head off. She would probably jump at them, to be honest. She got little dog energy. I'm telling you, she won't hurt nobody. She won't even hurt a fly, but she will try to make herself look scary if she is scared, you know. And that will conclude that story, and we're gonna move on to the next one. Drums don't belong in apartments. My downstairs neighbor got their autistic 11-year-old a full-size drum set to use for stemming. Now that she has it, if they take it away, she screams until they give it back. Both the screaming and the drumming scares the F out of my husband's cat and freaks out my otherwise bulletproof service dog. 2 nights in a row, another neighbor called the police for a noise complaint. The parents took the drums away. I don't know the exact details, but their apartment has a broken window now. There's a trail of red substance to the parking lot, and the kid left in an ambulance. A week later, last night, the police visits for noise, and the kid left in an ambulance an hour later. Again, not sure the exact details. Today, at dinner time, the kid starts bashing on the drums again. 3 of us step out to get ready to go bang on the door. I step back inside because 2 is enough. The other 2 go down. For 25 minutes, they're back and forth yelling. Then the drum neighbor starts knocking on doors. He gets to my apartment and says, "We know it's loud and you don't like it. Stop reporting it to the office and the police. We're gonna stop her. Just live with it." So, of course, now every single time, myself, my husband, our next door, and the direct next door neighbors of the drum set neighbors are going to report it to the office and police and all of us. It's also nice to know the office does nothing other than tell them that we got a complaint. Now, the first comment says, "I'm sure this is against the lease agreement. Also, record a video and post it on Google reviews. I'm sure you'll get it taken care of ASAP." So OP did reply to that and said, "It is, but our property manager doesn't care that someone 3 buildings over is cooking bad substances." I can't say it on camera because it starts with an M. But yeah. Or other neighbor in our building that is stealing car parts from the neighbors to sell his mobile mechanic customers. Bro, you got someone in your neighborhood stealing catalytic converters and y'all still living there? You need to move out, OP. We did the Google review thing to get our maintenance issues dealt with after 3 months of begging for basic repairs like no working toilet or our one bathroom apartment. Honestly, OP, it's just time to move. It is just time to move. Now, there is another comment here and says they make electric drums that you can use a headphone with and they make no sound. And somebody replied to that and said, my husband's has these. They're still loud, but better than actual drum sets. And then somebody else replied and said, my husband has one too. We literally can't hear anything unless you have the headphones on. So there's kind of like a 50-50 here that like they're loud, but they're not loud. I don't know. Like, you could probably use this to get out of your lease early and move out and go somewhere else. Because at this point, I wouldn't stay there. I would be looking for somewhere else to live. And I understand, like, rent's expensive. I get that. But there is plenty of other places that you could go that's still cheap, babe. That's still cheap, babe. Because honestly, with people stealing catalytic converters, it don't sound like y'all in the best of neighborhoods. Y'all sound like you're living in the hood, in the hootie hood. But you know, it's fine. Like I lived in the hood. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is. It is what it is. Don't ask me why I just did that. Anyways, we're gonna go on to the next story. This is gonna be our last story, you guys. Oh my freaking gosh. And I'm actually gonna surprise y'all with a little bit of a holiday story. We're gonna read a Christmas story. I tricked y'all because y'all didn't know I was gonna read it, and here it is. But next week we're gonna have like a full episode that's just all Christmas stories, and I have so many, so I'm just gonna read all of them. I'm even the ones that I post like on social media. I'm just gonna read every single Christmas story so that we have them all in one video, and then also on social media because like I know some people don't use Instagram, some people don't use TikTok, and that's fine. That's okay. You don't gotta do that because I'm gonna put it all in one place, just because these are holiday stories. But this one. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys know I do listen to other podcasters. I do, because I love them and they are the best. And I also listen to Smosh. I listen to Smosh reading Reddit stories, honestly, like when I'm cleaning and like doing something. Because, like, how weird is it? Not really that it's weird, but like, I don't want to listen to myself reading stories I've already read. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to listen to myself all day, but I do listen to but I do listen to Smosh reading Reddit stories, and they did read this story, and I found it, and I was like, But then I was like, I mean, I could read it, you know, like it's not a big deal, but I am just going to give Smosh the credit because they did read this story first, and I do know that they read it because I listened to it, so I already know what's going to happen, but I did find it, and it's a very good story, so we're going to read it. Because honestly, I was just sitting there the whole time and I was like, what the F is happening? And when I read the caption or like the title, you guys are really going to understand where I'm coming from. So this story, let's get into it. Guy I'm seeing legitimately thinks Santa Claus is real. I think he actually believes Santa Claus is a real person in some capacity and thinks he delivers presents to his family personally. I'm probably going to leave tomorrow because it's been awful so far and I just want out. I'll call him Adam, fake name. Adam, 25 male, is from a pretty rural area in the mountains, keeping it vague on purpose. His family are what I'd consider religious extremists. He told me this before. I, 23 female, came to see him for Christmas and that they were very religious, as are mine, so I thought it would be similar. I'm not seeing my own family as I just have an abusive mom and left, and we are in NC. North Carolina? Yeah, I think it's North Carolina. I've only been seeing him a couple of months, and his beliefs have only came up minimally, and Santa Claus was not part of that. I don't even think we mentioned it at all, despite walking around Walmart with Christmas decorations and holiday stuffs on the shelves, and him saying that he wishes there was more Christian decor. Which, honestly, that's pretty normal for, like, a Christian to say. I grew up in a Christian school, and, like, obviously my grandma is religious and stuff. So that's really not abnormal for someone to be like, I wish they had more Christian decor, you know, more Jesus, more nativity, like. Because a lot of places don't, but I think honestly, I think Hobby Lobby, they don't really celebrate Halloween, don't do they? I think they're like a they're run by Christians, so like they only sell like Christmas decor when it comes out. So if you're looking for stuff like that, I mean, I'd probably try Hobby Lobby. I don't know. Anyways, Adam and his family call Santa Saint Nick to start off with. He has a large family, and we had a lot of regular Christmas Eve activities all day, including cooking breakfast and dinner with his family, sitting around playing with the children, going to a church event around lunchtime, and then we went to church. His mom would shake her head disapprovingly at some references towards Santa Claus the pastor made and would whisper to her younger brother and her nephew next to her. I didn't hear what she said. Damn, I wish we knew it. I wish we knew what they said. I really wish OP heard what they said, because I bet you she was like, "Don't listen to him. He's lying. The pastor is lying about Santa Claus. He is real." No, Saint Nick. Saint Nick is real. When we made dinner, she told me to fix a plate for Saint Nick, and I laughed and said, "What? Cookies aren't enough?" And Adam shot me a horrified look. I felt the gaze of his mother. And she gave me this sort of fake smile and said, "No, hun, it's not a filling meal." So I loaded up about it. So I loaded up about as much as I gave Adam and the men in his family and put it on a plate. His mom put tinfoil over it and put it in the fridge in the garage. At some point, about 2/3 of his family left. The children went to bed after an hour of it being dark. Adam's mom told them to go settle in bed so St. Nick can have his dinner and start delivering presents. This gave me the implication that he would start his night here rather than stop by and have cookies and leave. I'm not sure. His mom read a couple of passages out of the Bible about family as we sat around their wood burning stove and discussed family situations a bit. Adam's dad then told Adam and I, as well as his little sister, to go to the guest house to sleep. It was about 9 p.m. I changed into the bathroom and said my goodnights to them and was about to walk out the door with Adam, and then his mom snapped her fingers and said, "Hun, you're forgetting the most important part of Christmas." Hello? Babe. Adam looked pale for a sec because kind of nervously laughing and stepped back from the door holding my hand. We went out to the garage where he grabbed the plate and said something like, "She's really serious about Santa getting his food, huh?" Trying to lighten the mood. He squeezed my hand really hard and said, "Yeah, I'd say it's serious." We went back in to microwave the meal, and we awkwardly stood there in front of the microwave watching the plate turn around. I felt his parents' gaze on the back of my head. Yo, she's literally making sure. She's like, "I'ma make sure Saint Nick get that plate." I said something again, I can't remember what, kind of lighthearted about Santa having a full stomach if he eats like this at every house. Adam gripped my hand even harder than he did before, and the first sign of affection he had given me in front of his parents all night, and said, "His name is Saint Nicholas, and he only eats dinner here. Don't be disrespectful in our home." It sounds calm all typed out like that, but the way he said it gave me chills. His parents didn't say anything, and I felt like I was going to cry. Oh, OP. I left to walk in the backyard to the guest house, and his sister was waiting in this mostly empty living room area there. She said she started the wood burning stove there, and she showed me where to sleep, a twin bed next to her, and said Adam would be in the next room over with his younger brother. I just laid down, and I heard Adam come in maybe half an hour and go straight to bed. Oh, okay, so he didn't go in there when she went in there. I bet you his mom said something. Like, in the time that she was going to lay down and he had come in, he was definitely talking to his parents. I've just been laying there unable to sleep because I'm so anxious, and I already hear movement in the main house at this point, and I don't know what to think. I thought after everyone had left, mostly small children, the St. Nick talk would end. I think his family, or at least him and everyone younger, legitimately believes this is a real person. His parents are really strict and live relatively off-grid and isolated, so I barely get service here, and I'll see if this posts because I can't even text my friends SOS right now. I feel like I'm in a horror movie where they believe Santa is like a distant uncle or something. Does anyone know of any traditions like this? They unalived a pig sometime in the last week, as well as a couple of chickens, and the whole family is coming back tomorrow. Maybe it'll be less weird with more people here. A few of his cousins gave me more of a modern vibe rather than the rest of his nuclear family. I don't know, but I don't know. But I don't know. I might just head back and stay at my apartment a couple hours away alone. I don't think I continue seeing him because it's just been so weird. Now, there is an update, but first of all, before, because we're going to read the comments and then we'll read the update, but before we do that, I'm going to say a little bit of something. Saint Nick is technically based on like a real person. So basically, like with the tradition of Saint Nick, which is kind of how like Santa Claus was started, and I think there is a movie about this too, but it's kind of like a horror movie. I don't know, but there is a movie, and basically Saint Nick was a very generous person, and the start of like gift giving was basically because he would like go around giving gifts to everybody in like his community, and they started the tradition of Christmas. Now, the Christian tradition of Christmas is, you know, celebrating Jesus's birthday, even though it's not technically Jesus's actual birthday, but that's what Christians usually celebrate. So it's kind of weird that this very religious family is celebrating Saint Nick because Saint Nick is technically pagan and it's not Christian, because most Christians, they tell you don't worship anything other than Jesus. Um I know the Catholics, they are very big on like Mother Mary. But yeah, so there's basically like Christian religion shouldn't be worshiping other like pagan holiday, because technically Saint Nick would be like pagan, which is probably why the pastor was saying certain things and the mom was like, get a load of this guy over here talking crap about our Saint Nick. You know. I do wonder though, like where this tradition came from or like how it came about, because it definitely seems more like OP's mom that's like this instead of like the dad, because the mom is the one that's been kind of like glaring and like being like, "Excuse me, hun, he is real." So I wonder if she thinks that Saint Nick is a real person and everyone just went along with it because the mom is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but who knows. Now, in the comments, it says, I imagine Santa getting to the house really hungry, about to chow down on his meal, and all of a sudden he sees a non believer in the house and just fucks off angrily. Okay, so that has to do with the update, but someone said his name is Saint Nicholas, you heathen. And then, yeah, this is what the other comment says, that St. Nicholas is a real historical person, unlike Santa, who is based on St. Nicholas, commercialized by Coca-Cola. In my wife's family, St. Nicholas Day is the third most important holiday after Christmas and Easter. And somebody asked, is your wife Dutch? Because St. Nicholas didn't eat his meal. But I will be honest though, this story really gives like Get Out vibes, you know what I'm saying? Like that movie where you're just kind of like girl, they're going to try to like offer you to Saint Nicholas. Like what was the shoot Dwight from The Office. What was the name of fuck, let me look it up. Let me look it up. Y'all know what I'm talking about though? Ah, yes. This is giving like Dwight from The Office, like Belschnickel. That's what it is. I could just imagine like if OP were to get up and go look around and she just sees like this old crotchety like dirty man and he just starts whacking her with a stick. Saint Nicholas is Belschnickel, you guys. The mom is Belschnickel. Anyways, if anybody doesn't know, that's an Office reference. And if you've never seen The Office, well, I highly recommend you watch it because it's really funny. But let's go ahead and read the update. I'm still alive, not dead. The holidays ended horribly and my relationship is over. And my relationship... Okay. I'm still alive, not dead. The holidays ended horribly and my relationship is over, probably for the best now that I've had time away from him and talked to my friends and read comments. Because I essentially ruined Christmas. Saint Nick literally left the food untouched because there was a non-believer in the house, and Adam's mom made a point of it being because I was there, and I was essentially barred from seeing him and called him a degenerate in front of his whole... Oh. Adam's mom made a point of it being because I was there, and I was essentially barred from seeing him and called a degenerate in front of his whole family. I really wanted to make a I really did want to make a proper update on this, but I felt ridiculous and embarrassed about it. One, blew up so huge. Two, everything I said was absolutely picked apart. I get it sounded dramatic and whatever, and I guess I write dramatically, but I treated it no different than how I write in my diary. I think this is it. I can't imagine typing out a few paragraphs of the worst Christmas I ever had completely alone with crazy religious nuts and in my feels for it being called a horror movie in the making. No, it literally is a horror movie because like I would be like I would have stolen like a little, thing from the damn kitchen, the kitchen knives. I would have been like, girl, I'll be sleeping like this. Somebody come up to me, just gonna get right in your throat. Like, don't come near me. Like, oh my gosh. Personally, I'd be absolutely petrified of these people, especially with the way the mom is acting. Because hello, like that is insane. It's kind of like that horror movie where the kids like go to the grandparents, but the grandparents were replaced with like different people. Like, what if the mom is not real? Anyways, obviously she is, but gosh dang. Like, yeah, I know. My life right now sucks. I wish there was more to say or was more dramatic for everyone wanting that, but I just don't have it in me. I wish I had real family and relationships that don't suck. I wish I had answers for all of you as to why his family is so crazy around the holidays and aren't normal people that let their son date girls outside of their borderline Amish lifestyle. I don't know. The end. I mean, they're Amish. It could be Belschnickel, right? I mean, Dwight was Amish, right? Or am I tripping? I'm over here thinking about The Office. Belschnickel. What does he say? But also, what's really strange to me is okay, so the plate wasn't eaten, and this is something that Smosh brought up, is that who eats the plate? Who eats the plate of food normally? Like when OP is not there, like who is eating the food? How is the food disappearing? Like who gets up and puts and disappears the food? I don't know. Because, I mean, you would think it's the mom, right? Getting up and eating the food. But I don't know, man. I don't know. This story is just crazy. It definitely sounds like a horror story. Like, I'm not going to be honest. It sounds pretty insane. But, yeah, that is the end of our episode and the end of that story. If you guys have any, if you guys have any thoughts, just leave them down in the comments below. I try to reply to most of the comments, or at least read them. So that way, when you guys are commenting, I'm reading most of them that I can. Like on Instagram, sometimes there's a lot of comments and I don't get to all of them. But when I post the story, I typically go after like the comments that were posted first. So there's also that. But yeah. That was crazy. That was cray. But yeah, so that's going to be the end of that episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys on Thursday with our yap session about the DoorDash worker who was completely, I don't even know, man. Like, we're going to have to decide in that episode how we feel about her and how we feel about the lawsuit that she's undergoing right now. So, and then next week we are going to be reading their Christmas stories. So on Tuesday, I'm going to be posting just a straight up Christmas episode. And then all that week, we're going to have holiday stories, Christmas stories, etc., etc. I mean, honestly, even after Christmas is over, there's going to be a lot of people posting their holiday, like aftermath holiday stories. So I'll definitely read those too. So we may not be officially over with Christmas stories until after. And then we'll probably get a few New Year's stories too, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure how many there are, but I'll definitely look for some just in case. But I hope everyone has a wonderful holiday, and I hope that you guys aren't being too stressed out by the holiday stress and taking some time to relax, have yourself a hot chocolate, do what you need to do. So I hope that, you guys are able to at least unwind and still get a little bit of a stress-free on during the holidays, especially before the Christmas holiday, because I know how stressful it can be, especially in this economy. Like, let me tell you, things are expensive. Like, Christmas is looking, Santa looking pretty broke this year. Just kidding. Saint Nicholas is definitely not eating any food this year. Sorry, we're gonna have to starve him because We just ain't got no money. We ain't got no money. We ain't got no food. No, I'm just kidding. We have food, guys. I'm just kidding. This is just a joke. It's just a joke. Don't take me seriously, please. I am just kidding. But yeah, but not for Saint Nick. Saint Nick ain't getting no food. Just saying. Anyway, but I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. So I hope you guys have a wonderful night. I hope you have a good day tomorrow. And I hope that you enjoy these stories just as much as I love reading them. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.